Hello, hope all is well, and thank you for joining me. So in this follow along tutorial, we are going to design this right over here. So it's a simple portfolio landing page, and this will be our main color over here. So we are going to design it in terms of components, and we shall have a nav bar here. That's with three sections, one for the logo, and then the menu items, and maybe a resume button. Then we shall have the main part of the portfolio, where we shall work on the section which would have the introduction and maybe a hire me button, and then the figure part which would have our image. So to get the image, I got it from here, free pick, and this image is quite heavy. It's 6 MBs, so I had to compress it. That's from compress JPG. So this took it down to 400 kbs, which is better. And then use this remove background, that's remove.bg, to remove the background of the image. This reduced its quality by a lot, but we shall try to work with that. I would also leave the file to this in the description. So I would create my project here in the tutorials. So I'll open this up and make my terminal a little bit bigger here. Alright, so I guess you can see me. So nothing is inside there for now. So to create a React project, that's npx create React app. React app. Sorry about that. And the project name, it's a landing page. Landing. That's it. So this would take time depending on your internet connection. But while it's still running, then we shall also be using Tailwindcss to develop faster. So you can visit Tailwindcss and then move to the docs, or just click the get started section, then move to frameworks guide to see how we can put it inside React. I have a video about this on the channel, but still it's easier. Right now it's easier to do that. So all you have to do is create your React project, which we are doing right now. It's still taking its time, and then move into that project, then run these commands over here. And then in the tailwind, these commands here would create the tailwind.config.js file and the post CSS file. So in the tailwind.config.js file, we shall add this in the content section. Then paste this in our index.css file, and that's all. That's how you would install Tailwind CSS. And it is still installing. I guess my internet is not that fast, so I'll pause right here and resume after this. Okay, great. So we can go ahead and create our project here. So I'll open it up in VS Code. That's my code editor. So I have the landing page here. So those are the different files running the command created for me. That's the npx create React app. So I'll open up in VS Code. So these are the different files, and I guess you have already interacted with them at some point. Let me go ahead and install Tailwind. I guess on your side you already did that. So that's great. Tailwind is set up. So let's set up the structure of our app. So this is a simple project. We won't be working with a lot of files, but one that I talked about when we are looking at this style is I said we shall be working with components. So I'm going to create a components folder where I would define these different components that we're going to build. So inside here, I would create a components folder as I mentioned, and inside this I'll need, let me say, a nav bar. I'll need a nav bar component, and we talked about a section component, so maybe I would say my figure component and then my section component. You could change the names, but as long as they are React components, they need to start with an uppercase. So that's it for the component files we shall need. And then we shall basically be working with the app.js file. So just to do a little bit of cleanup, I would remove everything we have so far. And then won't need that. Okay, so won't be making any tests. We can clean up a little bit and remove the files we don't need. Okay, I think that's fine. Maybe a little visit to the HTML file just to change the title of our application. Maybe change it to this. That's all fine for the public folder. And I have an extension that's React snippets. You can just check for React snippets. I've already installed it here. It's ES7 React Redux React Native snippets. So it helps you write React Native faster. So to create a React component, I'll just say a React functional component, just say RFCE, and this would create the component for me. The same here. So you notice it's giving it the file name, and I would import these components in my, just to keep the folder, the structure, the line up here. I would import them in my app.js. Everything seems to be working. So I can see the different text that is in the different components being displayed here. I have the navbar, my figure, and then my section. So first, let's work on the navbar. So from the design here, when we look at our navbar here, it has three elements. That's Charles Cassastra, and then the menu items, and then the resume, the CV button. So I would give this the whole app.js a margin of maybe 50, but I'm going to keep giving the padding, and that's to make it easier so that I don't have to use maybe position absolute while adding this image over here. But we shall talk about that later. So for the navbar, all I see is a flex display that has maybe a justification of space between, and then 3 items in it. So that's what we shall just do here. So I'll move into my nav component. Let's close this. So I'm here in the nav component, and allow me to maybe minimize that. So in the nav component over here, I'll change this to nav, and then I'll create the 3 elements that we talked about. So I have a header inside here, and that's this name right here. And then I have the menu items, so I would put it as a unordered list, and inside there create 3 list items. So the first one was home, And then last in the navbar we have a button. So that's a button. Okay, that's it. So I'll specify the class name here. Since we are using Tailwindcss, we are able to define our classes here that define the different designs that we're trying to do. So in the class name, we talked about it being a flex and the justify content with space between. So I think I can also align items to the center, and then give it a padding horizontal, so padding X of, wanted something to do with 50 pixels, so something in that line. And then for our header we could change its color. The button, it's an outlined button, so I'd give it an outline and maybe change the thickness of the line, and then add the color too. So I'll change its color to same as it's our main color, so it will be everywhere, and the text will still be black, so that's okay. Maybe a padding horizontal of 5 and padding vertical of 2, something like that. What do we have so far? So far this looks good, this looks good. Here we still have a problem, but this we could change. Maybe we wanted it to be rounded, so I'd go with rounded full, and then maybe give it hover effect. So whenever we hover, maybe change the background color. Okay, I think that looks good for the button, so this is not what we promised. Okay, it's too rounded, so we can change this maybe to MB. Okay, let's give it at large. Okay, so that looks good. So right over here, we are supposed to do the same to it. I give it the same display, that's flex, just to make sure they are aligned that way, and specify a gap. Here we have a gap specified between these. So I would specify a gap of around 10. Let's see. And 10, that would work for me. So that's it, that works fine. Maybe give it a padding top. No, the whole thing here. So we gave it a padding horizontal, so let's give it a padding on the vertical of 3, and maybe a margin bottom, just to have that space to it of 5. And yeah, this looks good. This looks close to what we have over here in our navbar. So we shall work with that. Maybe change the cursor to this, the pointer. Okay, this looks good. So this is what we need in a navbar. So I can happily say that we are done with the navbar. So let's look at other sections. Maybe before we look at other sections, I would like to reduce this. This seems to be a lot, so I would reduce here to maybe something like 48 or 44. So 44 it is. So we shall work with 44. And I think that's okay. So the other sections, we have the main figure, and then the my section figure. So what we would want is these two to be out here, but before that they are inside a main element. So we have to style that main and give it a flex display too. Yeah, just give it a flex display and make sure they cover the space that they need. So I would move back to my app here. So we are done with the navbar. Let me close it. So back to the app.js. We have our main here. So another thing I would like to do is maybe put the main my section before the figure. And inside the main here, I'll give it a class of flex. Still justify the content to space between. Okay, so that's what we have. We have them at the different sides. So after that, I think that's all we need to do with the main. According to this here, the main is just splitting the two. So let's work on the section part of it. Move here to my section. Maybe change this to section. And inside my section, just to identify it out, I would give it a background color of red. This is not the actual color it would have, just to see the section part where it is. And what do we have here in the section? So in the section we have text, that's hello, and then I am Charles, then UX, UI, and as such. So let's just include this text over here. We have a paragraph over here. I would just copy this text here. Paste it. Then lastly we have a button here. And to style the button new kick, I'll give it still a background color same as our color here. Maybe change the text to white. It's also rounded, so go with rounded MD and give it the same padding as our outlined button, and also a shadow. Let's keep it at shadow small or make it medium. And the paragraph here has a different color, so copy that. Let's make the my name part bit bigger, so text 2 Excel and then the font bold. What do we have here? Okay, so I guess this does not look like what we envisioned, but we can still work around it. So all I need is first to make this free space here. So I will keep on using the padding for this, but you would have just used a margin on the whole app.js. So inside here in our section, I would give this a padding 44. So we have this here, and maybe make all my text a little bit bigger. We have that margin. So I'll give this a margin vertical, and let's go to 20. Let's keep it at 30, 36. Okay, that's too much. This would work for margin bottom, and for the top, let's give it something smaller. Okay, and make the other text bigger, so this would actually take on this, and then this would take on a larger number. Okay, let me remove that red background so we see where we are at the moment. Okay. Actually, you have to change the UI UX designer part here. This would also make it a little bit bigger than it is right now, and then its color. Okay, it's coming out as we intended it to be. Maybe reduce the text here. Oh, we don't want it, so we could give it a width, or reduce the number of characters per line. Here, let's just give it a width of, let me say 30. Oh, we don't have 30, 32. That's small. So 64. So that's fine. Let's first work with that and see. Though the text looks a bit, I would actually have to increase the size of all text that I have here. And so we shall come back on increasing the text later on. So we have hello, I am Charles, and then that's over there. Maybe add a full stop here and increase this a little bit. But this would depend. So you'd have to use the breakdown, the breakpoints. That's SM for small, MD for medium, and LG for large. Okay, so that's it for our section here for now. I would say the introduction section, the one that talks about ourselves. So let's move to the figure section and see if we can pull off this here. So maybe if we increase this, so we can increase this to that we don't have. Okay, increase that to that. So let's work on the figure. For now, it's hidden this side, but we want it right over here. So we'd also give it a padding, and then pull out the image that we need. So inside here, I would move to my figure and close out this. So all we need is to give it the padding first before we do anything, and maybe give it a background color of red just to see the space it takes out. It takes up. Sorry about that. Then inside here, so would have, let me call it a div, and this would have a BG of our color, and then for this width, we want it to take on something to do with want to make it large as possible, and then the height to take on the same size. Then let's make it rounded full. As you can imagine, I'm trying to make the ellipse this right over here. And for this container right here, what we want to do is maybe make it flex. And then after making it flex, I want to align the items to the ends. Bring it down here. Maybe make this a little bit bigger. So for larger screens, I would, maybe for smaller screens, I would keep it to that, and then using LG, I would define for large screens. And here I would say width is maybe something like 500. And still, so we keep the height at the same. Okay. Okay, we have this. But you notice the padding is more of this side and not on this side. We want it to be on this side. But we shall work on, why work on that later. So the padding is to the right, not to the left. And then for our image, we want this right here. So I'll just download this. Remember, it's quite reduced because of removing the background. So we'll just export it out here and move to here, downloads. Okay. And I would move to my project here. Where would I want to copy this? Just create an assets here, assets folder, and images. So let me review this in Finder and paste it inside here. Maybe rename it to a shorter name. That would work fine. So inside here, not inside, it's here. I would like to define my figure. Just keep that at that, and maybe the image, and then specify the path to the image. So maybe I could just import, sorry, that's from, so we have to move out of the components folder and then move into the assets folder, then move into the images folder. Then we shall be able to get our image. Let me hope that's the name. So here I would specify my source of the image and then an alternative in case the image is not displayed. Okay. Okay, so far it's all good. Maybe the problem that we are witnessing, the first problem I'm seeing is that these are taking on side by side, and what I want to do is this image should be on top of this image. So what I would do is maybe make this absolute. I was trying to avoid this when using the padding, but I guess we have to use it. So I would make it absolute and maybe reduce its index, the z index, to bring it behind this here. So that's what we shall going to do. Sorry, that's what we are going to do. So we shall just change its position to absolute while making this here relative. Just to make sure it's not. Oh, okay, that could work too. Making it absolute to the all viewports, but we want to make it absolute to one way to do it. The other way that we are going to do is make it absolute to this container here, the figure component. Maybe after making it absolute, let's reduce it, take it to the negative. That's 10. Okay, then 10 it goes beyond this. Maybe what we shall do is, instead of that, let's give this a higher z index. That too didn't work. and I don't want to make this absolute. Why? What about that? I guess we had to remove that background color because when you're giving it a negative z index, it's going behind the component itself. So so far that's fine, but that's not actually the position we wanted. We wanted it to take up, maybe even make it a little bit larger, but take up this position here, push it to the other side. So that's exactly what we are going to do. We want to push it, this is the right to 0, and then not even 0, the right like to negative 20. So I would come over here and say maybe it's right to let's say 10. That still would not be enough. Set negative 20, and then its bottom to still negative 20. So minus bottom 20. I don't want to see this here, so I don't want to see this space right over there. Okay, but still its width is small compared to what I wanted. We could actually make it a rectangle. Instead of using an ellipse, we could, wait, how did we, oh, we used an ellipse. Let's keep it at that. Just make it extra large. But you could keep it as a rectangle and then just click past one of the size. So I guess this is a good size. We should maybe just push our image a little bit to the other side. We forgot to maybe change the body. So just to move back to the index.css, we are not planning to go back this way, but just give the body a height of 100. So 100. Oh, it's body height. I don't want to put the overflow here. As a quick fix is changing the overflow hidden, but you don't want to actually do that on the main. So we'll do that. Maybe I would create this as the hero section, then give the hero section the height of 100 VH. Yeah, I guess that's it. I'm thinking of reducing the image to make its resolution better, but that would change a lot on what we want to do to accomplish. So maybe let's play a little bit with the image size, the background is size. Alright, I guess that's it. So this is how you would turn that design into the code. Though I'm not proud of this ellipse over here, I feel like I could have done a better job. But I guess this is all you can do if you're not using the SNFVG image. So I would do this with an image instead of coding it out. This is a little bit close to the design here. Though maybe a few things are not bring it out that well, but it's something that we can work with on a given day. So we could make a little bit of changes and yeah, it's ready. So if you have watched to this point, thank you for watching and see you in the next video.